Hello, I'm John Fan at the American Folklife Center at the Library of Congress, and I'm here today to interview Boots Lupenui from the Kohala Mountain Boys ahead of their Coolidge concert tomorrow night. Boots, welcome to DC.
Thank you, John. I appreciate it. Nice to be here.
So, we're really excited to have you. And first, I want to hear about your journey into music. I know a little bit about it, but when did you start playing? What's the context?
It's pretty common in Hawaii. The way we grew up, parties all the time, very social people, obviously. The girls all learned to dance hula. The boys all learned to sing and play guitar and ukulele. So I came up the same way most people do, sitting and watching my dad and uncles play and trying to mimic their moves. And I just took it from there. I got a lot more serious. Started learning on my dad's old Martin and sneaking into the bedroom at night and trying to figure out chords and things like that. Eventually, I ended up going to college on the continent, and after college, I stayed in LA and played music professionally in LA, not thinking I was going to ever play Hawaiian music. And I don't consider myself a strictly Hawaiian musician. I'm a Hawaiian musician who plays all kinds of music, which is fair, I think. But that led to interesting stints in LA playing blues and rock and all kinds of things. And when I finally came home, moved back home to Hawaii, I started playing with a couple of Hawaiian musicians, well-known folks in Hawaii, and started to get more of an appreciation as I became more appreciative of my culture after being away for so many years, as is usually the case. I started to appreciate the music more and what the music had to offer that I hadn't seen as a kid, because I had been forced a lot of times as a kid at parties, get up on the table and take your ukulele and sing a song, and we were forced to do it. It wasn't much fun, so that music had those negative connotations.
Okay.
I wasn't interested. But yet at home, my dad had Antonio Carlos Jobim records and Bossa Nova, and he had Herb Ellis and Coltrane and these kinds of things. And those are the things that really spoke to me. So it's been a real weird circular journey to get back to music. And now, because of the way that I've been hearing those musics and sort of incorporating them into Hawaiian music, hence the Kohala Mountain Boys, the band that we're bringing here tomorrow night at the Coolidge, that music is a hybridization of Hawaiian music and other music, as you'll hear tomorrow night, as we've talked about. Once America and the world fell in love with Hawaiian music, and it influenced all the major branches of the American music tree, the roots music, blues, folk, country, jazz. That music became American music, and then when Americans came in large numbers to Hawaii, they brought that music with them. And Hawaiian musicians of the day heard that and incorporated that into their music. So there's this weird circular influence that went on. And we like to liken it, or I like to liken it to a wave that washed off our beach and washed up on your shores. And then as it washed back off your shores, it collected different things. And as it came across the ocean and washed back up our shore, we still recognize it as our wave, yet it has new things in it. And that's the music of today. That's our contemporary Hawaiian music. And it's been like that for quite a while. So the older music was like that. So what we're playing tomorrow night is very much that kind of music. And the kind of music I like. I don't like anything that's real straight, ahead one thing. I'm more interested in how you blend those things together, just like, cultures. We've all been blended. I love being able to pick out some of the different influences and wondering what each culture, what the filters for that culture created in that musician or that artist contributed to that song or that piece of art. So that's the kind of thing that's keeping me going.
If you go back to some of those parties when you were younger, and were your brothers learning to it? Was it, like you said, it was a family
Yeah,
thing?
both my brothers were learning to play. My middle brother was quite the show off. He was the one that was on the table dancing and singing, and he was dancing to Ike and Tina Turner songs. I mean, he loved the limelight, and I was trying to shy away from it. But it was everybody was like that. It was a communal thing. There was joy around music, and it was just like the food. Everybody brought a dish, and all the women went inside and talked, said all kinds of nasty things about the men while they cooked. And all the men stayed outside and played music and talked about how they were the boss of their house, which is all lies. But it was that was the atmosphere. So it was just a joyful way to be, and the music was the soundtrack for that kind of cultural joy.
And were the songs being shared around, were those sort of a melange of music?
They were.
You're hearing like a lot of Hawaiian music.
There were Hawaiian music. Some of them were Hawaiian music, but there was also music that is still to this day big in Hawaii. We're talking tomorrow night. One of the songs we're going to do is a Sam Cooke song. And when I was a kid, Sam Cooke was already past. But that music was still huge. I mean, every party you went to, every garage party, every nightclub gig, somebody was playing "Bring It On Home" to me, or "You Send Me," or something like that. And if you go to one of these parties today, no joke, the 16, 17-year-old kids who are playing ukulele and hanging out at that party are still playing those songs.
Playing Sam Cooke.
It still has become part of us.
Traditional.
We took it. It's ours now.
Okay.
So there was a lot of that kind of mixture. So yeah, it made sense that the music that I love today is sort of a mix, a melange, as you said. Yeah.
Now, home, when we're talking back then, was that in Kohala?
That was on Oahu. My dad was born in Kohala.
Okay.
And he raised us on Oahu. He was a policeman on Oahu. So we grew up most of the time there. On the weekends and holidays, he'd bring us back to Kohala and Waimea.
Okay.
Just to meet the family, make sure we knew, and gave them a chance to tease us because they called us concrete cowboys, because they were all cowboys. And all the kids knew how to ride and rope, and our little cousins and the girls, they would hop on a horse and they'd get a lasso and take care of business. And we were standing there not knowing what to do, and so they called us concrete cowboys, and they it was a lot of hazing.
Yeah, I'm sure.
It was worth it.
Were there different musical experiences in Oahu versus in Kohala?
That's a good question. Yes and no. On Oahu, I think, in my experience, the music that was finding its way into these sort of situations would be a little bit. It would add more contemporary music. And like I said, in my experience, on the outer islands where we live now in Kohala, you would tend to hear things that were a little bit more traditional.
Okay.
It would take a little bit of a while for the new songs to come over. Not much of a gap, but there was a little bit of a gap. They still stuck to the old ways a bit more, and even the young folks had a love for the tradition. Especially in the Kohala and Waimea area where we're talking about on the Big Island, it's cowboy country, it's Paniolo country, and that lifestyle didn't necessarily leave a lot of room for brand new things.
Okay.
So even the young folks liked the old ways, and they wanted to keep that tradition alive, which is beautiful. So.
Now, when you moved back to Hawaii, did you move straight to Kohala when you came back from the
We did.
Island?
Like I said, my dad is from Waimea, and I always knew somewhere in that area we wanted to be.
Okay.
I first went to Kohala I think in the 6th grade. And I remember that it was the 6th grade because I remember the bus for the field trip that we took from Oahu, driving up to the place we were staying, and not knowing why, but knowing for sure that this was a magical place. There was something special. And it never left me. And I just knew one day I wanted to be there.
Okay.
So when my wife and I had a chance to move, we jumped at it. And it didn't happen by accident. We put the intentions out there.
Okay.
And not long after we spoke out loud about, hey, let's get together this weekend and make a list of things we need to do to make that happen, the phone rang and she got a job offer right there in Kohala.
And that brought you guys there.
Yeah, that just brought us back there.
So it was destined, huh?
We were very lucky. When we got there, I remember we both were accosted by this old Hawaiian lady who said, "You folks think you moved here?" And we said, what do you mean? She says, you didn't move here. You folks are called back here. And then we found out that the property that we're living on was owned by one of my ancestors, and it was a ranch that had been worked by many of my ancestors, uncles and cousins. And the other property that she has responsibility for with her work is where her great-grandmother is buried.
Wow.
And where her family had lived we couldn't make that up.
No.
But the lady was right. We were called back. Those are the places we're supposed to be taken care of. So we're very lucky. Yeah.
Now, in terms of coming back home and bringing your musical experiences, both as a kid and then what transformed playing, in Los Angeles, did you have people you turned to as teachers or mentors, like when you started kind of veering back to, like you said, the Hawaiian music that?
Yeah, that's a good point, because there is that. And I had a couple of, I would say, passive experiences. There was a couple of notable Hawaiian musicians that I had met who were nice enough to just be present and gently show me things. I never thought I was going to be playing Hawaiian music, and I still don't, like I said, think of myself as playing traditional Hawaiian music. So I wasn't seeking out those teachers. Now, if you were planning to be a Hawaiian musician or playing traditional Hawaiian music, that would be part of the path. You know, you show some interest, you find a mentor, they throw you a gig or two, bring you on stage a few times just to see how you handle it, teach you things and see, you know, where you land with those things. I didn't do those things. Up until really recently, the last few years, I didn't think I would be playing any of that music. But it wasn't until I think I moved back to Kohala that I started to think about the fact that this music that I had been shying away from was in real ways related to the music that I had been running towards for years.
Okay.
It was just in a different form, and I wasn't sophisticated enough in my musicianship, I think, to understand or to hear those things. And once I started to hear the influences, I felt so much better about coming back to the music that I should have been looking for all along. So, yeah. Yeah.
Now, I want to talk about the Kohala Mountain Boys a little bit as a group.
I know those guys. Yeah.
I've heard you do. So what led to the formation of that group? Has it been a long-standing thing with different members? What's the story there?
About 3 or 4 years ago, I did my first documentary, not unrelated to the archival project I did for you guys. I went looking in Kohala for old and unrecorded songs of that area. And knowing that once I found those songs, I wanted to bring those songs to life on video, in the documentary, I decided I needed to form a band. And I don't know who will see this interview, maybe people who are too young to remember the Monkees, but I always call it the Hawaiian version of the Monkees because it was a band I put together for the documentary.
Okay.
With some pretty impressive musicians, but for the documentary nonetheless. So we never gigged as a band. We just played for the documentary. We took the songs that we had found and we performed those songs. Consequently, we got calls from festivals and all kinds of other places to play. But at that point, all these other musicians had gone on to their other gigs and their full-time lives. So that kind of got put by the wayside, and I went back to painting and doing all my other kinds of work. And it wasn't until you guys called and said, would you want to be involved in a concert? Now, you guys were a little bit sneaky because the way Thea and Michelle couched it was some sort of, would you want to be involved in a concert? And thinking about the symposium that we're about to embark on and knowing some of the other cultures and folks who got those grants, my thinking was, hey, I'm going to get to go on stage and play with some amazing people from different cultures. I'm going to learn something new and hear some things I haven't heard. So I'm in, totally, yes, absolutely. And then they said, okay, well, we'll get together with you in a week to discuss details. And when we got back on the phone, I said, hey, how many songs do you want me to play? You know, thinking, is it 1 or 2 and then I get out of everybody's way? Or do I stay on stage and just jam with everybody else afterward or support them? And Michelle said, no, you don't understand. We want a whole concert of Boots. And I said, oh,
I buried the lead, huh?
I said yes already, didn't I? So I tried to be cool. I said, well, can I at least bring my band? And they said, yeah, you can bring whoever you want. And then I got on the phone and started figuring out how I can get my band back together. And this is Kohala Mountain Boys 2.0.
Okay.
But this is really a much more comfortable version of that band because this is a more real band. These guys are great guys. They're all really well-known musicians and very accomplished. I'm lucky that they would agree to play with me. I don't think it was me. I think it was Library of Congress that hooked them.
Oh, you think we pulled them in?
Yeah. Just like in the archival project where people wouldn't otherwise have maybe shared some of their songs or stories. When I dropped your name, it's like, well, Library of Congress. It's okay. Well, maybe come inside, have a glass of tea. Let's talk. You know, it does wonders. I'm gonna have to fake it. You guys have a badge you can give me?
Yeah, we'll give you a little card to carry on.
But that's how it happened. And these guys, to their credit, they all, when I explained the gig to them, they all offered to do it for free. They were so excited about the idea. They're not going to do it for free. No. They're all so excited about the idea of playing this particular group of songs, this particular set list, and the story that it's telling. They were so honored to be able to share that they were in immediately, and that made me feel really good because I didn't feel like it was Boots and his employees. I felt like these are 4 guys who were on the same mission to tell the same story and share the same love and passion. And it doesn't get any better than that. How lucky am I?
Ah, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about maybe not the set list per se, but the repertoire. I know some of them you said in your project, going out and finding old Kohala songs. Can you explain a little bit more what that means? Because I think these songs have specific location, like they're based in place and families. And
yeah, like most Hawaiian songs. And you know, the reason to do it is I call them heirloom songs, as you know. But it occurred to me that every family, Hawaiian family, has songs in them. You know, we've passed all our culture and history and traditions down orally, whether it's chant or mele, you know, song, even the dance actually, not written. So every family has songs in it. Your grandmother wrote songs, your great grandfather wrote songs, and when I think about those songs, I think about your great grandmother writing a song or a great grandfather writing a song to his girlfriend at the time, and if that song wasn't a killer, I mean, she may not have become your great grandmother. And then your grandfather, your mother, your aunties, your brothers, your sisters, all disappear from the family tree. You guys are all gone. That never happened.
Songs mattered.
Those songs really mattered. I mean, in a real way. And when some of those old folks go away, those songs go away as well. They may be held only in their heads. They may be in a small shoebox someplace, and they're all turning to dust. And before that happened, I really wanted to see if we could save some of them. And I think when I first started doing it, people were worried that I was trying to take advantage or make money off of their songs, but I was really just trying to, I had to convince them that I was just trying to honor their family and Kohala as a place. I mean, theoretically, you could do this project any place. This story would work any place. But Kohala, the magic that it has and the spell that it has me under since I was in the 6th grade, I couldn't imagine a better place to do it. And it was my way of honoring Kohala, to honor the people. And by honoring the people, you honor the place because these songs were written by the people about that place or about stories that happened in that place. That place raised amazing people, and not the same as other places. And there's other places that raise amazing people too, but different people. Different flavors. So I wanted to capture this as much as I could because this is my home base, where my family was born. I raised many of them. So when I went looking for songs, it was difficult to find at first. When I said Library of Congress, of course, many people, but like so many things in Hawaii, it's who you know. It's all these degrees of the Kevin Bacon 6 degrees thing. There's 1 or 2 degrees in Hawaiian. Everybody knows everybody. And our ukulele player Chad Marshawn, for instance, one of the songs we're going to play tomorrow night is a song written by his cousin. She was a famous kumu hula, a Hawaiian hula dance teacher in Kohala. And her name was Raylene Kawai'aia. And she wrote many songs, but the one that we're playing tomorrow night was never recorded.
Okay.
She wrote it for her dancers to perform. And it was a beautiful song that she wrote about a specific place in Kohala, the mountain area, what we call the Wawakua, the area, the area of the gods, where people aren't allowed to go, the very topmost upland forest. And somebody, according to the story, somebody gifted her one of those tourist helicopter rides. And so she got on the helicopter and they flew over the mountains, and she was stunned by how many healthy, large old growth ohia trees there are, lehua trees, which you don't see as much in the lowlands. And she was so moved by how beautiful they were and how healthy they were. She wrote this love song to the mountain and to those trees. And it's called Kalelehua o Kohala, the lehua lei of Kohala, all the flowers that you imagine draped all over the mountain. And it's such a beautiful song. But it was Chad's cousin. So if I hadn't asked Chad, and he said, oh, my cousin had a song, and then he pointed me towards another. And these people, oh, did you talk to so-and-so yet? Or did you tell you should ask Auntie so-and-so, she has. You know, that's how I got all of these things. It was a who you know thing. And even if I didn't know them, you know, they'd sort of make you come and sit with them for a while. They'd audition. You decide, they're going to decide if they're going to give you your song. And every once in a while, if it was getting difficult, I'm going to have to grease the palms a little bit and drop the Library of Congress name. But ultimately, the songs we got this time around for this archival project, we were lucky enough to get songs primarily by composers who are still alive.
Okay.
And so they were able to play their own music, which I didn't even have to get the band together for that because it was from the source. I mean, how much better is it to have the guy who wrote the song singing the song himself? So in the case of his cousin, Chad's cousin, Kumo Raylene, whose song we're going to play tomorrow night, she was the only one that we had to get together and speak for her.
Okay.
And before I left, I got to tell some of her dancers that we were doing that song, and they teared up. They were pretty choked up about the fact that we were going to be sharing it here in DC. So we're bringing a lot of folks with us.
Oh, that's good. That's very special.
Yeah.
So what is there anything next for the Kohala Mountain Boys? Like, since it's so project-based, will you guys keep playing, or is it also part of the?
Yeah.
You said it's kind of a community thing.
It's an interesting question. Knowing what happened last time, that we had all these offers and we weren't able to, I'm already getting offers from our home base, one of our top art organizations in Hawaii is Kahila Theater on Big Island, where we premiered the documentary for this archival project.
Mm-hmm.
And the new CEO just reached out to me and asked me if they could put the Kohala Mountain Boys on this upcoming schedule for this this year, and bring the documentary back and air it and have the band play and answer some questions. And as you know, I just got a grant from the First Peoples Fund around this project, and they've floated the idea of possibly bringing the band to some of the powwows, which would be, man, that would be fantastic. So this time we're being a little bit more open-ended. This particular configuration of the band, each of these guys, like I said, has multiple gigs, and they're pretty busy. But if we know ahead of time, I think each of them is committed to trying to find a way to schedule some of these things. So it'll be a question of what gigs matter to us that seem really important, or an honor to do, like this one here at the library, and how those coincide with when everybody can be there. But we'd like to keep this going. This has been such a fun experience, and seeing that each of these three other guys have the same passion and appreciation for what we're doing means that going forward, when we spread out the set list, we do maybe a few different songs or add songs to the set list, as any band does. You add.
But it seems like that doesn't need to be a set.
No, we keep adding things all the time. I mean, the music that still influences us, and as we get to know each other, each person brings his own thing. You know, our bass player Brian, for instance, used to play with people like Rashid Ali, a very famous jazz guy. He was mentored by Archie Shepp. I mean, he's been around the world with some of these monsters. So as he wants to bring jazz music in and some of the things that are different, the question is, okay, how does that line up with some of our music? And it doesn't have to be a Hawaiian jazz song. We can play a jazz song through a Hawaiian lens. Because as one of my teachers told me, it doesn't matter what you do, it's Hawaiian. You don't have to worry about the branding of it. It gets filtered through your brain and your lens. So it's automatically Hawaiian. So stop worrying about it. Just play what you want to play and do what you want to do. And that's so freeing.
Yeah, I was just going to say
that should be work for everybody.
Right? Yeah.
You know, every music belongs to you. Every art form belongs to you as a citizen of the world. It gets filtered through your lens, and then you make it yours. And that's what you should do. And that's how it becomes personal to everybody. And that's why it's such a powerful thing, I think. So now that we are getting to know each other better, we can see that there's on the horizon that there's more opportunities for us to sort of spread out that Hawaiian-ness in different ways that we haven't even explored yet. So, yeah, it's exciting. We'll keep you in the loop.
We'll be watching.
Now that you're on stage with us, we're gonna have to keep you. We might have to do some guest spots.
Sounds dangerous. So are there other songs in your project that kind of were surprising to you? So the story about Chad's cousin song is like really beautiful, right? But were there other ones you weren't expecting to find a song from this family or about this place?
Yeah, there was actually, what was surprising was there is a musician who's involved in this project, who's a very famous musician. His name is John Keave. He's one of the world's best slack key guitar players. He's one of the few masters of the genre. And through this project, I found out from other friends of his and mutual friends that he might be willing to share some music. And I thought, well, John's, he's been involved in Grammy projects. Yeah. He's got a whole discography. He's got a whole catalog. There's nothing that he's not gonna. But as we got to talking and we became friends, he shared with me a song that he had never recorded. And I was shocked that it was a beautiful song, but it had never made it onto the album. I guess he felt like it didn't fit any place.
Okay.
But the story behind the song was so beautiful, he was during the pandemic. He was stuck at home, not a lot of gigs, obviously, and he was kind of depressed about that. And he went out, he said, in his backyard and sat under the pine tree and was playing his guitar. And his granddaughter, who lives with him, 2 granddaughters live with him, and one of them came out and said, Papa, what was it like in your olden days, in the olden days?
It's a dreaded question.
But he remembers thinking, it struck him that, oh yeah, that's right. Your olden days was my nowadays. Those were my, my young days. And he thought about the juxtaposition of that, and he became sad. He said he never got a chance to ask his grandfather, because there was a very different Hawaii in those times, late 1800s, early 1900s. So much change happened around that period, or after that period. So he feels the loss of not being able to sit with that man and ask him what it was like before all of that change. What was that Hawaii like? And so he wrote that song called Tutu Man. Tutu Man is your grandfather. And so he wrote that song about asking that question about what was it like and what was Kohala like in the time when you were young, my olden days, what I think of as olden days. It's a beautiful song. And I didn't expect to hear such a touching song about something so poignant from somebody whose catalog is so extensive.
Who's a master.
Who's a master. And it just became a thing that when we were just talking and becoming friends, he gifted us that song. And then what a gift.
That's that Helena.
Yeah, Helena, relationship, showing off your knowledge again. There you
That's
go.
what you taught me.
I'll take credit for that.
Well, this has been really fun. And I
Yes,
really
it has.
enjoyed talking to you, and I know we could have many, many more stories.
We will.
I want you to bring them on stage tomorrow night. So thanks for sitting for this oral history interview.
Thanks for having me, man.
Of course.
Yeah.